Walker County Sheriff Nick Smith says a lot of things that does not make sense, and I'm going to show you some good examples of that. So if you're not familiar, if you have not listened to the Secrets True podcast, go follow them, listen to their podcast. They are amazing, and it's one of the best podcasts you will ever listen to. And a lot of their cases have to do with Walker County unsolved cases. During one of their, or during their series of one of these investigations, they did some interviews with Nick Smith. And specifically, one of the ones I'm going to talk about was during an episode that they did on the unaliving of Randy Hicks. And he was a unsolved unaliving, and well, it was ruled previously that it was an accident, but they went out, and the podcasters went out and did some investigating on their own where he was found, because supposedly he had fallen off a cliff in the woods, and that's what caused his unaliving. They go out, it was not a cliff at all. They easily walked down it. They knew, immediately something was up with this. So they had previously asked Smith, because this case first occurred before he was sheriff. And so, they asked him, hey, would you please go back and look at this, because something is definitely not right. And of course he tells them yes. So, and then on this interview that I'm gonna let you listen to in just a second, they ask him again, hey, did you get a chance to go and look at that? And of course he says, well, no. And they said, well, would you please? Because there is something definitely, it needs to be looked at again. And he said, well, I'll see what I can do. Ha ha ha. Pretty much, I mean, you can tell, and I'm gonna let you listen to it in just a second. You can tell he does not care at all about this case, and that he has no intentions of going back and looking at it. You can just tell. But he also says, he goes on to say, well, we just have we're dealing with current events now, and we don't have the manpower to go back and look at all these. Understandable, completely understandable. But the issue with that, and what I have with that, and what's not going to make sense is we're going to listen to this one that I just talked about, and then we're going to listen to another one in one of their other interviews.
Did you look at that video I sent you of Randy Hicks?
No, I haven't.
Would you take a look at that file,
Mm-hmm.
please, sometime? We went out there, and where the property owner showed us, and there was a fireman there.
Mm-hmm.
There is no cliff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slope. I mean, there is no cliff. There's no way. If that is where he fell, he didn't run off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you fell, you might roll 5 feet before a tree stopped you.
I'll see what we can do. I mean, I'll pull the file and look. But again, it's one of those things that
before your time.
Well, that is before my time, but people really don't understand. And we're getting ready to do a series with the Mountain Eagle on all the missing people that we have in Walker County. And there's a lot that just don't have attention. There's some that I don't even know about, that I'm not aware of, that we haven't really had a chance to sit and dig in, because not only on that, we're dealing with current events. It would take me having someone full-time, a whole division. I would need to be staffed with a whole division of nothing but people who just went and investigated cold cases. That's how many that we have. We'll never financially get to there. But my goals are to eventually at least have one full-time dedicated person that does that.
All right. So you heard him, and I don't care what anybody says. If you're unbiased, you would clearly agree with me that you can tell he does not care about that case. He has no intentions at that time to go back and look at it. He could not care less about it. And so now we're going to move forward to one of their other episodes. And this was an episode they did during the series they did on the unsolved unaliving of Eric Cates and his dog Gypsy. And during this episode, they interview him. And let me take you back. So when he was running for office, he speaks with Eric Cates' mother, and she expresses her concern of how her son's investigation has not been handled right at all, and it's been messed up. And he says, I promise you, we're going to do everything we can. And I'm going to have Leah come in and look at this and help us and see what they can, come up with. And so, and then he tells them in one of the interviews that, yeah, I told her that. So now we're going to hear him when they're speaking about that, and they ask him, did you have Aaliyah come in? And he said, well, we're still the lead agency on the case. I just wanted them to come in and review what the previous admin had done. So, in other words, no, he didn't turn the case over to Aaliyah at all. He let them come in and just review what had been done in the past instead of just turning the investigation over to them. Now, if you haven't caught on, this is what does not make sense at all about what he's saying. So first, he says, we just don't have the manpower to go back and look at all these. Like we have 30, 40 missing, people unsolved, and which we now know is probably a lot more. That, we don't have the manpower to go back and look at all this. And as I said, I understand that. But if you don't, why are you so hesitant, and why are you refusing to just turn over an entire case that will take a lot more manpower? Why won't you turn that case completely over to Aaliyah? Why are you just allowing them to come in and just review what the previous admin had done on that case? Instead of just turning it all over. Someone that really wanted to help and really wanted to get these families answers and solve these crimes wouldn't hesitate at all. Say, hey, Aaliyah, yeah, here's the case. You take it over. We don't have the manpower, to be working all these. And that way, that gives you some extra manpower to go back and look at some of these other ones, such as Randy Hicks. Because if you go back and you listen to that episode or that series they did on Randy Hicks, there is something not right with it. It is, yeah. I mean, they are correct. It needs to be looked at completely again, and something needs to be done. But that's not how Nick Smith does things. So you have to ask yourself, why are you so afraid of just turning a case over to, number one, way more experienced investigators? And that's no offense to investigators at Walker County, but most people that are working at Aaliyah investigate these kind of cases every day. They have a lot of experience in all kinds of different areas versus someone that's worked at Walker County their whole life. And if you also, another staggering stat that the Secrets True podcast finds out during all these series they do on Walker County, that Walker County has a 12% solve rate on these missing persons and unsolved unalivings. 12%. So are those the investigators you really so you're trusting those investigators more than Aaliyah's investigators? No, it's not that. There are reasons why you are hesitant about turning over cases to outside agencies, and there are reasons why you're hesitant about outside agencies coming in and assisting.
That he'd asked the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency for assistance on Eric's case, and he did. I asked him if the Walker County Sheriff's Office is still the lead agency.
We're still the lead. I wanted them to just kind of come in and review what investigators prior to my administration had kind of done with the case. And they have done a lot, the prior administration had done a lot of legwork on the investigation. They interviewed a lot of individuals. I think that